God, you are so filthy and loud. Don't you have any manners? The Hermès handbag connected with Dolores Washington's cheek with a sharp crack that echoed off marble walls. The 62-year-old black woman in custodial uniform didn't flinch. She simply adjusted her cleaning cart and met Vivian Sterling's eyes with quiet dignity. "Ma'am, I apologize if I disturbed," Dolores began softly. "Don't speak unless I ask you a question," Vivian Sterling snapped, her voice dripping with contempt. The 34-year-old marketing VP stepped closer, her $3,000 suit a stark contrast to Dolores's uniform. "You janitors are all the same. No education, no class, no respect for your betters. I'm conducting million-dollar deals while you're scrubbing toilets. Know the difference." The security camera in the corner captured everything. Timestamp, 8:47:23 a.m., Monday morning, Meridian Corporate Tower, 47th floor. Have you ever been so focused on someone's uniform that you missed the power in their eyes? The red handprint on Dolores's cheek was already swelling. She touched it gently, then looked at her fingertips. No blood, but the sting remained. "Did you just slap her?" A voice from behind made both women turn. Jerome Parker, the maintenance supervisor, stood in the doorway. His weathered face showed no shock, only mild curiosity. At 45, Jerome had worked his way up from janitor to supervisor over 15 years. He understood hierarchy. "She was being disrespectful," Vivian said, adjusting her blazer. "Sometimes these people need a firm hand." Jerome nodded slowly. "Dolores, what did you do?" The question hit harder than the slap. Dolores felt something crack inside her chest. Not her ribs, but something deeper. 47 minutes until the board meeting. She checked her watch discreetly. "I was cleaning the executive washroom as scheduled," Dolores replied quietly. "During business hours?" Jerome frowned. "You know executive floors are off limits when VPs are working." The schedule said, "I don't want excuses," Jerome cut her off. "Ms. Sterling is within her rights. You disrupted her work." Two junior executives emerged from nearby offices, drawn by voices. Ashley Carter, 26, immediately assessed the situation. Red mark on the black cleaner's face, angry white executive, tense atmosphere. She pulled out her iPhone. "Oh my God, this is perfect content," Ashley whispered to Brad Morrison, 29, who leaned against the doorframe. "What happened?" Brad asked, though his smirk suggested he already knew. "This cleaning lady was being aggressive toward Ms. Sterling," Jerome explained. "Got physical with her." Dolores's eyes widened. "That's not... Are you calling me a liar?" Vivian stepped closer, voice rising. "Everyone can see the situation here. You were hostile. I defended myself." Ashley started recording. "Say that again for my followers." Vivian straightened, suddenly aware she had an audience. "This employee became aggressive when I asked her to clean quietly. She raised her voice, invaded my personal space. I had to defend myself." "You slapped me," Dolores said simply. "After you threatened me," Vivian shot back. "Jerome, call security. I want this documented." The boarding pass crinkled in Dolores's uniform pocket. First class. The irony wasn't lost on her. She could buy this entire floor, but right now she was just another black woman being humiliated. "Actually, let me get this on record," Ashley said, switching to live stream. "This is Ashley from Meridian Corp., floor 47. We just witnessed workplace violence." The red dot appeared. Live. 17 viewers, then 32. "Tell them what happened," Ashley prompted Vivian. "I was conducting a crucial business call when this employee began making excessive noise," Vivian said to the camera. "When I politely asked for quiet, she became hostile and aggressive. I felt threatened and had to defend myself." Comments began flooding in. "Fire her immediately." "Some people don't know their place. Why are they giving her a platform?" But others disagreed. "That handprint says everything." She slapped a 60-plus-year-old woman? This is disgusting. 43 minutes until the board meeting. Jerome, I need this employee removed from executive floors permanently, Vivian continued. She's clearly unsuited for this environment. Now hold on, Dolores said, her voice carrying a tone that made Jerome pause. Ms. Sterling, I've been cleaning executive floors for— I don't care how long you've been scrubbing toilets, Vivian snapped. You don't belong up here with professionals. Ashley's viewer count hit 87. The comments were divided into camps. Ma'am, Brad interjected with false politeness, maybe you should just apologize and move on. We all make mistakes. What mistake? Dolores asked. Getting above yourself, Brad replied. There's a natural order here. Executives on executive floors, cleaning staff, elsewhere. The humiliation was systematic now. 4 people surrounding her, a live audience growing by the minute, and security on the way. Dolores felt the weight of decades. Every slight, every assumption, every time someone saw her uniform before her face. But she also felt the weight of the platinum Amex card in her wallet. The stock certificates are in her safe, the acquisition papers on her lawyer's desk. Jerome, she said quietly, how long have I worked for Meridian's cleaning contractor? About 3 weeks, Jerome replied. Why? Just curious about company policies, specifically policies regarding assault on employees. Assault? Vivian laughed. You're being dramatic. The handprint on my face suggests otherwise. Ashley zoomed in on the red mark. 123 viewers now. The comments were getting heated. Sue them! Document everything! This is why we need unions. But also, she probably deserved it. Respect your betters. Know your place. Heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. Security was coming. 40 minutes until the board meeting. Dolores touched her cheek again. The sting was fading, but something else was building. Not anger. She'd learned long ago that anger was a luxury she couldn't afford. Something colder, more calculating. Ms. Sterling, she said softly, I want to make sure I understand the situation correctly. You slapped me because I was cleaning during your business call? I defended myself against your aggression, Vivian corrected. The security camera will show who was aggressive, Dolores replied, glancing at the corner camera that had recorded everything. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Vivian's face. Cameras can be misleading. Can they? Dolores asked. Timestamp 8:47:23 a.m. Everything's recorded. The live stream viewers had reached 162, and somewhere in the building, in a corner office on the 48th floor, someone was about to see his mother's face on social media. Security arrived with heavy boots and suspicious eyes. Ramon Torres, head of corporate security, was a former police officer who understood power dynamics. Behind him, 2 guards flanked the hallway like sentries. What's the situation? Ramon asked, addressing Vivian directly. This employee became violent during my business call, Vivian said, her confidence returning with a backup present. She was hostile, disrespectful. I had to defend myself. Ramon looked at Dolores's swollen cheek, then at Vivian's manicured nails. No scratches, no defensive marks. His 20 years in law enforcement told him everything, but corporate politics told him more. Ma'am, did you strike this employee? Ramon asked carefully. I defended myself when she became aggressive, Vivian repeated. Check the cameras. You'll see she initiated the confrontation. Ashley's live stream had exploded. 473 viewers and climbing. Comments flooded faster than she could read. That handprint is evidence. White woman playing victim again. Fire the cleaning lady now. This is assault, call police. Security protecting the wrong person. Everyone needs to calm down, Ramon announced, but his eyes stayed on Dolores. Miss, I need to see your employee ID. Dolores reached for her lanyard. The simple plastic card read, Dolores Washington, Custodial Services, Temp Employee number 4471. 3 weeks on the job, as Jerome had confirmed. Ms. Washington, Ramon continued, Ms. Sterling has filed a complaint about aggressive behavior. Do you have anything to say? I was slapped while performing my assigned duties, Dolores replied evenly. The security camera recorded the incident at 8:47:23 a.m. Cameras don't show context, Vivian interjected quickly. They didn't show her threatening behavior before I had to defend myself. More executives began gathering. Word was spreading through the floor like wildfire. Patricia Huang from HR appeared, followed by department head Trevor Wellington. The circle around Dolores grew tighter. What's this about? Patricia asked, pulling out a tablet to take notes. Workplace violence, Jerome explained. Dolores here got physical with Ms. Sterling. That's not what happened, Dolores said, but her voice was drowned out by overlapping conversations. Trevor Wellington, a tall man in his 50s with silver hair, took command. Everyone step back. Let's handle this professionally. He looked at the live stream on Ashley's phone. 700 viewers now. The company's reputation was being broadcast in real time. Turn that off, Trevor ordered. It's public property, Ashley replied. First Amendment rights. Not on company property, Trevor shot back, but Ashley kept recording. The comment section was becoming a battleground. Justice for Dolores trending. For Dolores. She assaulted an executive, fired her. That executive needs anger management. This is why cameras exist. Racist corporation protecting abusers. Patricia turned to Dolores with practiced HR calm. Ms. Washington, we take workplace violence very seriously. You're being suspended pending investigation. What about the assault on me? Dolores asked. Ms. Sterling acted in self-defense, Patricia replied smoothly. You're the aggressor here. The gaslighting was complete. 6 corporate employees, 2 security guards, and nearly 1,000 online viewers were witnessing the systematic rewriting of reality. The handprint on Dolores's cheek was somehow evidence of her guilt. I want her escorted from the building, Vivian announced. She's clearly unstable. Now hold on, a new voice interrupted. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the company's chief medical officer, pushed through the crowd. At 58, she'd seen enough workplace accidents to recognize abuse patterns. Someone was assaulted? Dr. Mitchell asked, looking directly at Dolores's cheek. That's a clear handprint. Who did this? She did it to herself, Vivian said quickly, trying to frame me. Dr. Mitchell's eyebrows rose. She slapped herself? Hard enough to leave a mark like that? People do crazy things, Jerome added unhelpfully. The live stream hit 1,000 viewers. Comments were coming too fast to read, but the anger was palpable. Doctor sees the truth. Finally, someone with sense. She obviously didn't slap herself. Fire everyone covering this up. 35 minutes until the board meeting. Dr. Mitchell pulled out her phone. I'm documenting this injury for workers' compensation purposes. Ms. Washington, you need medical attention. She's fine, Ramon interjected. I just need to leave quietly. A security guard doesn't determine medical needs, Dr. Mitchell replied icily. This is assault documentation. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Things were escalating beyond a simple disciplinary issue. Trevor Wellington stepped forward. Dr. Mitchell, we appreciate your concern, but this is an HR matter now. Assault is a medical and legal matter, Dr. Mitchell countered. I'm calling the police. No. Vivian's mask slipped. That's completely unnecessary. It was just a misunderstanding. Misunderstandings don't leave handprints, Dr. Mitchell replied, photographing Dolores's cheek. The live stream exploded with comments. Call the police. Finally, someone doing right. She's panicking now. Doctor is a real one. Ashley zoomed in on Vivian's face. The confidence was cracking. Sweat beaded her forehead despite the air conditioning. "Let's all take a breath," Patricia said, trying to regain control. "Ms. Washington, if you sign this statement acknowledging your inappropriate behavior, we can resolve this internally." She produced a tablet with a pre-written confession. The document blamed Dolores for initiating conflict and creating a hostile work environment. "Sign it and go home," Patricia continued. "No police, no lawyers, no drama." "And if I don't sign?" Dolores asked. "Then we press charges for assault," Ramon said. "Corporate security has protocols." The threat hung in the air. Sign the lie or face criminal charges. The system was designed for this moment, making victims complicit in their own abuse. But something in Dolores's posture had changed. The shoulders that had sagged under humiliation now squared with purpose. Her voice, which had been respectfully quiet, found its natural register. "Mr. Wellington," she said, "before I sign anything, I'd like to contact my lawyer." "Cleaning ladies don't have lawyers," Vivian laughed nervously. "Everyone has rights," Dr. Mitchell said firmly. The live stream count hit 1,500 viewers. Comments were screaming for justice, trending hashtags, sharing the stream. But buried in the flood, one comment went unnoticed. "Wait, isn't that Michael Washington's mother? The CEO?" The comment was quickly buried under hundreds of others. But someone had seen it. Someone was watching. 32 minutes until the board meeting. Dolores looked at each face surrounding her. Jerome, who'd chosen sides without hearing facts. Patricia, who'd weaponized HR policies. Trevor, who cared more about optics than truth. Ramon, who saw uniforms instead of humans. And Vivian, who believed her position granted her the right to assault employees. They all thought they knew who held power in this circle. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Actually," Dolores said quietly, checking her watch, not the simple Timex they expected, but something that caught the light differently. "I think I'll wait for my son to handle this." "Your son?" Patricia asked dismissively. "What's he going to do?" Dolores smiled for the first time since the slap. It wasn't a pleasant smile. "He's probably watching this live stream right now." The elevator chimed on the 47th floor. Executive footsteps echoed down the hallway, measured, confident, familiar to everyone present. Michael Washington, CEO of Meridian Corporation, appeared at the edge of the crowd. At 34, he commanded respect through presence rather than volume. His custom-tailored Armani suit cost more than most employees made in a month. The Patek Philippe watch on his wrist caught the fluorescent light as he surveyed the scene. "What's happening here?" His voice cut through the chatter like a blade. Ashley's phone trembled in her hands. The CEO was on her live stream. 2,000 viewers and climbing exponentially. Comments exploded across the screen. "Oh shit, the CEO is here. This is about to get real. Someone's getting fired. Plot twist incoming." Trevor Wellington stepped forward quickly, his silver hair perfectly styled despite the chaos. "Mr. Washington, just a minor incident. Disruptive employee, we're handling it internally. Nothing that requires your attention." Michael's dark eyes swept the circle methodically, taking in every detail. Security guards with defensive postures, HR personnel clutching tablets, nervous executives checking their phones, and at the center, a black woman in custodial uniform with a vivid red handprint across her left cheek. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Those who knew him well would recognize the warning sign. "A minor incident?" Michael repeated, his voice dangerously quiet. "Someone wants to explain why there's a live stream with 2,000 viewers showing what appears to be workplace assault on company property?" The silence stretched uncomfortably. Ashley's viewer count ticked higher. 2,247, 2,318, 2,401. Vivian Sterling stepped forward, smoothing her platinum blonde hair and adjusting her Chanel blazer. Her confidence had returned with the CEO's presence. Surely he would understand the situation from management's perspective. "Mr. Washington, I'm Vivian Sterling, Marketing VP, third quarter performance leader," she began, dropping credentials like armor. "This employee became aggressive and threatening during my important business call with the Henderson Group. You know, the $12 million account. I had to defend myself when she invaded my personal space. It's all been completely blown out of proportion by social media." Michael studied Vivian's face carefully, noting the perfect makeup, the lack of any defensive wounds, the absence of fear someone would have after a real confrontation. Then he turned to examine the woman at the center of the circle. Their eyes met across the crowd. Dolores gave him the slightest shake of her head. Not yet. The gesture was so subtle that only someone who had known her for 34 years would catch it. "Ms. Sterling," Michael said with deliberate precision, "you defended yourself by slapping an employee?" "She was physically threatening me," Vivian insisted, her voice rising slightly. "Ask anyone here. Jerome witnessed her aggressive behavior. She raised her voice, stepped toward me menacingly. I felt genuinely afraid for my safety." Jerome nodded eagerly. "That's right, Mr. Washington. Dolores was way out of line. Completely unprofessional behavior." Michael pulled out his iPhone, the latest model that most employees couldn't afford. "Interesting perspective. I'd prefer to see the objective evidence. Ramon, pull up security camera 47A, timestamp 8:47 a.m. I want everyone to see exactly what happened." Ramon Torres shifted uncomfortably, his 20 years in law enforcement suddenly feeling inadequate for corporate politics. "Sir, that might not show the full context of the verbal altercation. Pull it up." Michael's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried more menace than shouting. The live stream comments were scrolling faster than human eyes could follow. "CEO wants the truth. Security footage don't lie. Someone's about to get exposed. 26 minutes until the originally scheduled board meeting. But Michael had clearly decided the real meeting was happening right here, in front of thousands of witnesses. Dr. Sarah Mitchell stepped forward, her medical training overriding corporate hierarchy. "Mr. Washington, regardless of what happened before, this woman needs immediate medical attention. The handprint indicates significant force was used. I've documented the injury with photographs for workers' compensation purposes and potential criminal charges." "Criminal charges?" Vivian's voice cracked like ice under pressure. "Assault is assault under California Penal Code 240, Dr. Mitchell replied calmly. "Corporate position doesn't grant legal immunity. The force required to leave that mark could have caused serious injury at her age." The live stream viewer count hit 2,800. Comments were becoming increasingly heated. "Doctor knows the law. VP going to jail. Finally, someone with backbone." Michael turned to Ashley, whose hands were visibly shaking as she held her phone. "Ms. Carter, isn't it? Third-year marketing intern, UCLA graduate, Dean's List?" Ashley nodded nervously, surprised he knew her background. "How many viewers are watching this?" Michael asked. Ashley glanced at her screen. 2,900 and climbing exponentially, sir. It's being shared across multiple platforms now." "Excellent. Keep recording. I want this documented with complete transparency." The crowd exchanged increasingly nervous glances. Most CEOs would want to contain a PR disaster, not amplify it. Why was Michael Washington encouraging more publicity? Patricia Huang cleared her throat officiously. "Mr. Washington, with respect, this live stream could damage our corporate reputation. Perhaps we should handle this more discreetly." Michael's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "Ms. Huang, are you suggesting we should cover up what appears to be criminal assault because it might hurt our image?" "I'm suggesting we follow proper HR protocols." "The proper protocol for assault is police involvement," Dr. Mitchell interrupted, "not internal damage control." Ramon's tablet finally loaded the security footage after several agonizing minutes. The timestamp clearly read 8:47:23 a.m. The high-definition video showed Dolores quietly pushing her cleaning cart, methodically wiping down surfaces. Vivian emerged from the bathroom stall, phone pressed to her ear, gesturing animatedly during her call. The audio was crystal clear. Vivian's voice, "God, you people are so filthy and loud. Don't you have any manners?" Then the unmistakable sound, crack, as her handbag connected with flesh. The footage was absolutely damning. No aggression from Dolores, no threatening behavior, no self-defense scenario, just an executive striking an employee who was quietly doing her job. "Well," Michael said after the 30-second clip finished, "that seems fairly clear to anyone with functioning eyes." Vivian's face had gone completely white. The video doesn't capture the full context. Her tone was threatening, disrespectful. "I heard her say, 'Ma'am, I apologize if I disturbed you,'" Michael interrupted coldly. Hardly threatening language. Patricia jumped in desperately. "Mr. Washington, we can absolutely handle this internally. Ms. Sterling will attend comprehensive sensitivity training, community service, perhaps a formal apology. No need for external law enforcement involvement." "Ms. Huang," Michael's voice could have frozen the Pacific Ocean, "did you just suggest we institutionally cover up an assault that was captured on camera and broadcast to 3,000 people?" The live stream had indeed hit 3,000 viewers. Comments were exploding. "He's not covering it up! Finally, a CEO with actual integrity! Fire the whole HR department!" But Michael wasn't finished. He walked slowly toward Dolores, each step measured and deliberate. For the first time since arriving, his professional mask began to slip slightly. "Ma'am," he said softly, with genuine concern that surprised everyone present, "are you seriously hurt? Do you need immediate medical attention or emergency care?" Dolores looked at her son, the little boy she had raised while building her empire from nothing, working 3 jobs and attending night school, who had grown into the man now running this corporation. She heard the love and worry in his voice when he called her ma'am in public, still protecting her undercover mission even now. "I'm fine, thank you," she replied with quiet dignity. "Just trying to do my job properly." Something in her tone made several people frown unconsciously. The cadence, the underlying confidence, the natural authority, it didn't match their preconceptions about a temporary custodial worker. Michael nodded slowly. "And what exactly is your job here, Ms. Washington?" Dolores replied simply, letting the name hang in the air. "Dolores M. Washington." The surname hit the crowd like an electrical shock. Washington, the same last name as their CEO. The livestream comments began connecting dots frantically. "Wait, same last name as CEO. Coincidence? Washington equals family member? Oh my God, is she related?" Trevor Wellington cleared his throat nervously. "Surely just coincidence, Mr. Washington. Very common surname after all." But Michael was studying Dolores with something that looked suspiciously like deep respect and barely contained fury at her treatment. "Ms. Washington," he said carefully, "how long have you been observing our company's operational culture?" The word choice was deliberate. Not working or cleaning or employed, observing. 3 weeks, Dolores answered, her voice gaining strength. 3 very educational weeks. The tension in the hallway became suffocating. Observing implied purpose beyond janitorial duties. Educational suggested evaluation and assessment. Vivian sensed the power dynamic shifting beneath her feet like quicksand. "Mr. Washington, I don't understand why we're giving this person so much attention. She's just a temporary cleaning—" "Just what?" Michael's voice could have shattered windows. Vivian's mouth opened and closed soundlessly, like a fish gasping for air. Ashley's phone was shaking violently now. The viewer count hit 3,500. Comments were screaming theories. She's undercover corporate. Secret family member testing company. Mystery shopper from hell. Undercover boss situation. Michael pulled out his phone and dialed a 3-digit extension. Security, I need the executive conference room cleared immediately for an emergency session. The board meeting is moving up to right now. He hung up and addressed the increasingly panicked crowd. Everyone who participated in this incident will attend an emergency disciplinary meeting immediately. No exceptions. Sir, Patricia protested weakly, I have scheduled appointments with other departments. Cancel everything. Michael's tone brooked absolutely no argument. Ms. Sterling, Mr. Wellington, Ms. Huang, Mr. Torres, Mr. Parker, executive conference room in exactly 5 minutes. Bring documentation of everything that happened here. The group began shuffling toward the elevators like condemned prisoners. Then Michael turned to Dolores. For just one unguarded moment, his CEO mask slipped completely away. Mom, he said quietly, his voice carrying 3 decades of love and respect. I am so incredibly sorry this happened to you. But he had forgotten about Ashley's live stream microphone. The word mom hit the broadcast like a nuclear explosion. Every comment section across every platform went absolutely insane. Mom? CEO's mother. They slapped the CEO's actual mom. Holy shit, everyone is dead. Undercover CEO's mother. Most expensive slap in history. The executive conference room on the 48th floor had never felt smaller. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city, but nobody was enjoying the scenery. Michael Washington sat at the head of the mahogany table, his laptop open to quarterly reports. Dolores had removed her custodial uniform, revealing a sharp navy business suit that transformed her completely. She sat to Michael's right, the traditional power position. Across from them, 5 employees sat like defendants awaiting sentencing. Vivian Sterling, Trevor Wellington, Patricia Huang, Ramon Torres, and Jerome Parker. Their confidence had evaporated the moment they realized they had assaulted the mother of their CEO. Ashley's live stream was still running from the hallway outside. 4,200 viewers and climbing. The comments were ruthless. They're all getting fired. Justice time. CEO's mom about to end careers. Michael opened a thick manila folder. Let's discuss the financial implications of today's incident. Ms. Sterling, you assaulted an employee of Washington Industries. Washington Industries? Vivian's voice was barely a whisper. My mother's company, Michael replied coldly. Your largest client. 34% of Meridian's annual revenue. Exactly $847 million last fiscal year. The number hit like a physical blow. Trevor Wellington's face went gray. More specifically, Michael continued, consulting his documents, Washington Industries holds our software licensing contracts worth $312 million annually, our cloud services agreement valued at $198 million, and our consulting partnership generating $337 million in recurring revenue. He paused to let the mathematics sink in. These contracts include a morality clause, Section 4.7, requiring Meridian employees to maintain professional conduct when interacting with Washington Industries personnel. Violation triggers immediate contract review. Patricia fumbled with her tablet. Mr. Washington, surely we can resolve this internally. Ms. Huang, Dolores spoke for the first time since entering the room, her voice carrying decades of boardroom authority. Internal resolution was attempted. Your solution was forcing me to sign a false confession admitting I assaulted Ms. Sterling. The live stream outside exploded with outrage. They tried to frame her. HR covering up assault. Covering up. Corrupt system exposed. Michael pulled up security footage on the room's large monitor. Let's review what actually happened. Timestamp 8:47:23 a.m. The video played in devastating clarity. Vivian's voice. God, you people are so filthy and loud. The sharp crack of the handbag against flesh. Dolores's dignified response despite being struck. Analysis from our security consultant, Michael continued, indicates the blow was delivered with approximately 15 pounds of force, sufficient to cause injury, potentially serious at my mother's age. Dr. Mitchell's medical photos appeared on screen next. Close-ups of the handprint, measurements showing the impact area, professional documentation that would hold up in court. The assault was witnessed by multiple employees, recorded by security cameras, and broadcast live to thousands of viewers, Michael stated. This isn't a he said, she said situation. Ramon Torres cleared his throat. Sir, perhaps we could discuss this more privately. Mr. Torres, Dolores interrupted, privacy was forfeited when you threatened me with criminal charges for being assaulted, the moment you chose to protect my attacker over investigating the actual crime. She turned to address each person individually. Jerome, you immediately took Ms. Sterling's side without reviewing evidence. You blamed me for being attacked and demanded I apologize to my attacker. Jerome squirmed in his chair. Patricia, you prepared a false confession and threatened me with prosecution if I didn't sign it. You weaponized HR policies to cover up assault. Patricia's hands shook. Ramon, you saw clear evidence of assault and chose to intimidate the victim instead of investigating the perpetrator. 20 years in law enforcement, and you couldn't identify obvious criminal behavior. Ramon stared at the table. Trevor, you prioritized corporate image over employee safety. You were more concerned about the live stream than the assault it documented. Trevor's silver hair seemed to have grayed further in the last hour. Finally, she looked at Vivian. And you, Ms. Sterling, committed assault, then systematically lied about it to cover your crime. The room was silent except for the distant hum of comments from Ashley's live stream in the hallway. Michael opened another folder. Financial Impact Assessment. If Washington Industries terminates all contracts due to this incident, Meridian Corporation loses $847 million in annual revenue immediately. He pulled up a spreadsheet on the monitor. Additional consequences. Our stock price has already dropped 2.3% since the live stream went viral. That represents approximately $89 million in lost market capitalization in 3 hours. The numbers were brutal, precise, undeniable. Furthermore, Washington Industries was prepared to expand our partnership by an additional $400 million annually. That expansion is now under review. Trevor found his voice. Mr. Washington, surely we can make this right. Sensitivity training, policy changes. Policy changes? Dolores laughed, but there was no humor in it. Mr. Wellington, your policies already prohibit assault. The problem isn't policy. It's culture. She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city where she had built her empire from nothing. For 3 weeks, I observed how this company treats employees when management thinks nobody important is watching. What I saw was systematic disrespect, casual discrimination, and a hierarchy that protects abusers while silencing victims. She turned back to face the table. Today wasn't an isolated incident. It was the inevitable result of a toxic culture that values position over character. Michael pulled up another document. The legal department has reviewed our options. Criminal assault charges are still possible. The statute of limitations is 3 years in California. Civil litigation for intentional infliction of emotional distress could result in substantial damages. Vivian finally spoke. What do you want from us? The question hung in the air. Outside, the live stream had reached 100 viewers. CEO's "Mom Slapped" was trending nationwide. Accountability, Dolores replied simply. Real consequences for real actions. Michael consulted his notes. Here are the terms. Non-negotiable. He looked directly at Vivian. Ms. Sterling, you are terminated immediately for cause. No severance, no references, no non-disclosure agreement to hide your actions. Your assault was broadcast to thousands. You own the consequences. Vivian's face crumpled. Mr. Torres, you are suspended without pay pending investigation by external law enforcement consultants. Your handling of this incident violated basic investigative protocols. Ramon's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Ms. Huang, you are demoted to junior HR associate with a 40% salary reduction. Your attempt to cover up assault will be documented in your permanent file. Patricia gasped. Mr. Parker, you are transferred to night shift maintenance with a formal reprimand. Your immediate bias and failure to support your employee violated supervisory responsibilities. Jerome slumped in his chair. Mr. Wellington, you retain your position contingent on implementing comprehensive cultural reforms within 90 days. Failure results in termination. Trevor nodded quickly. Additionally, Michael continued, Meridian will establish a $2 million diversity and inclusion fund, implement monthly bias audits by external consultants, and create an anonymous reporting system with guaranteed protection for victims. The live stream comments were celebrating. Real consequences, finally. This is how you handle justice. CEO actually has backbone. These changes will be monitored by Washington Industries, Dolores added. Our continued partnership depends on measurable improvement in workplace culture. She paused, letting the full weight of their leverage sink in. One final point. The security footage from today will be used for mandatory training company-wide. Every employee will see exactly what assault looks like and learn the consequences. The room fell silent again. Outside, Ashley's live stream viewer count had reached 5,400. The story was spreading across social media platforms, news outlets, and professional networks. Michael closed his laptop. Questions? Nobody spoke. Then we're done here. Ms. Sterling, security will escort you out. Everyone else, return to your duties and prepare for the changes ahead. As the group filed out, Dolores remained by the window. Michael joined her, and for a moment, they were just mother and son. I'm proud of you, she said quietly. You did the right thing. I learned from the best, Michael replied, though I never imagined your undercover work would end quite like this. Outside in the hallway, Ashley was still live streaming. The final count? 5,847 viewers had witnessed the most expensive slap in corporate history, and its aftermath. 3 weeks after the slap heard around the corporate world, Meridian Corporation looked fundamentally different. The security footage from camera 47A, timestamp 8:47:23 a.m., had been viewed by every employee during mandatory training sessions. The sound of Vivian Sterling's handbag hitting Dolores Washington's cheek became the most expensive audio clip in business history. That slap cost us $847 million in potential lost revenue, Michael Washington told the packed auditorium during the first company-wide reform meeting. But more importantly, it revealed how we've failed our most basic values. In the front row, Dolores sat in her business suit, the temporary custodial uniform permanently retired. The red handprint had faded, but its impact remained carved into corporate policy. The changes came swiftly and systematically. The Dignity First initiative launched exactly 72 hours after the incident. Every Meridian employee, from executives to maintenance staff, received identical respect training. The curriculum centered on one simple principle: position never justifies assault. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, promoted to Chief Wellness Officer, presented the medical findings. Mrs. Washington's injury required ice treatment and monitoring for potential concussion. The force analysis showed 15 pounds of impact, enough to seriously harm someone her age. The audience shifted uncomfortably, many seeing the handprint photos for the first time in high resolution. The real-time reporting system went live within 5 days. Employees could report discrimination, assault, or abuse through an anonymous app with guaranteed protection. The system bypassed traditional HR channels that had failed so catastrophically. Within the first week, 47 reports were filed. Most involved verbal abuse, inappropriate comments, or unfair treatment that had festered in silence for years. Mrs. Washington's 3-week observation revealed patterns we couldn't ignore, Michael explained to the board of directors. The slap wasn't isolated. It was the inevitable escalation of unchecked toxic behavior. The monthly dignity audits became non-negotiable. External consultants conducted surprise evaluations, just as Dolores had done undercover. Employees were interviewed confidentially about their treatment, respect levels, and workplace safety. The first audit results were sobering. Before the reforms, 68% of employees reported witnessing discrimination. After 3 weeks of changes, that number dropped to 31% and continued falling. The $2 million diversity fund wasn't just symbolic money. It funded concrete programs, bias intervention training, mentorship for underrepresented employees, and a scholarship program for children of custodial and maintenance staff. Every dollar in this fund exists because someone thought it was acceptable to slap my mother, Michael announced. We're turning that violence into opportunity. Executive compensation reform tied 25% of management bonuses to inclusion metrics. Supervisors were evaluated on how they treated lowest-level employees, not just revenue numbers. The change sent shockwaves through the executive floors. Trevor Wellington, fighting to keep his position, became the program's most zealous advocate. His 90-day cultural improvement plan exceeded requirements. I realized that day, he admitted privately, I was one decision away from being Vivian Sterling. The training program used Ashley Carter's live stream footage as educational material. The 5,847 viewers who witnessed the assault became the foundation for a viral corporate training video that other companies began licensing. When you see someone in a uniform, what do you see? Became the program's central question. Do you see a job title, or do you see a human being deserving of respect? The legal framework was bulletproof. Section 4.7 of all vendor contracts now included automatic termination clauses for employee assault. No negotiation, no second chances. Washington Industries extended their partnership by the promised $400 million annually, citing Meridian's unprecedented commitment to workplace dignity. Personal accountability remained absolute. Vivian Sterling's termination was broadcast as widely as her assault. Her LinkedIn profile became a cautionary tale in business schools across the country. Ramon Torres, after his suspension, enrolled in bias training and applied for positions with companies implementing Meridian-style reforms. His law enforcement background, combined with hard-learned lessons about actual justice, made him valuable to organizations serious about change. Patricia Huang, demoted and salary reduced, became an unexpected advocate for victims' rights. Her experience covering up assault taught her the importance of protecting the vulnerable instead of the powerful. Jerome Parker, working night shifts, discovered respect flowed both ways. The executives he now cleaned for after hours treated him with dignity they'd learned from watching his former colleague get slapped on camera. The cultural shift was measurable. Employee satisfaction scores increased 34%. Turnover dropped 28%. Productivity rose 15% as people felt safer speaking up about problems and innovations. Most importantly, not a single assault had been reported since the Dolores Washington incident. The lesson was clear. Consequences work. The ongoing monitoring continued monthly. Dolores herself conducted quarterly reviews, no longer undercover but openly evaluating cultural health. Her presence reminded everyone that respect wasn't negotiable. The handprint had healed, but the changes it created were permanent. The success story spread beyond Meridian. 12 major corporations implemented similar programs. Harvard Business Review featured the case study. Netflix acquired documentary rights. But for Dolores, the real victory was simpler. No other mother would face what she had faced in that executive washroom. The slap that was meant to silence her had instead amplified her voice across an entire industry. 6 months later, Dolores Washington stood on the same 47th floor where Vivian Sterling had slapped her. The executive washroom had been renovated, but the security camera remained. Timestamp still running, still recording, still protecting. The handprint had long since faded from her cheek. The impact on corporate America had not. The ripple effect continued expanding. Fortune 500 companies implemented Washington protocols, zero-tolerance policies for workplace assault. Business schools taught case studies about the $847 million slap. HR departments nationwide restructured around dignity-first principles. Ashley Carter, the intern whose live stream captured everything, now worked as Meridian's social media director. Her final viewer count from that day, 5,947, was framed in her office as a reminder that truth, once broadcast, cannot be contained. That live stream changed everything, Ashley reflected during a company interview. We watched someone get assaulted, then watched real justice happen. It proved that Black stories matter, that real-life stories have power, that touching stories can create actual change. The personal victory was quieter but deeper. Dolores received thousands of messages from employees across industries, custodial workers, security guards, food service staff, thanking her for proving their dignity mattered. "I didn't plan to become a symbol," Dolores said during her TED Talk, which garnered 2.3 million views. "I was just a mother checking on her son's company culture, but sometimes the most important battles choose us." The legacy lived in details: executives learning employees' names, security cameras protecting workers instead of just property, HR departments investigating complaints instead of burying them. Michael Washington kept the security footage from 8:47:23 a.m. on his computer. Not as punishment, but as reminder, power used correctly protects the vulnerable, not the comfortable. The broader impact transcended corporate boardrooms. The story became part of a larger conversation about respect, accountability, and the courage to stand up when institutions fail. Dolores's 3-week undercover investigation inspired similar programs at major corporations. CEOs began conducting anonymous culture assessments. The question, "How do we treat people when we think nobody important is watching?" became a standard business ethics discussion. The human truth remained central. Everyone deserves dignity, regardless of their uniform, title, or bank account. The $847 million contract renewal proved that principle could be profitable, that doing right by people created sustainable business success. The continuing story wasn't finished. Each month brought new companies implementing dignity protocols, new employees reporting discrimination without fear, new leaders choosing accountability over cover-ups. The slap that was meant to put Dolores in her place had instead elevated countless others to positions of respect and safety. Real change happens when real people refuse to accept unacceptable behavior. When someone with power chooses justice over comfort. When witnesses become advocates instead of silent bystanders. These are the life stories that matter, not because they're perfect, but because they're true. These touching stories of quiet resistance and loud justice remind us that every person has value worth defending. Your voice matters too. Share your own experiences with workplace dignity in the comments below. Have you witnessed injustice that went unchallenged? Have you seen courage create change? Your real-life stories can inspire others to stand up, speak out, and demand better. Subscribe to Black Soul Stories for more untold tales of quiet strength conquering loud prejudice. Ring the notification bell, because every story of justice deserves to be heard. Together, we can ensure that no one else faces what Dolores Washington faced in that executive washroom. The conversation continues with you.